As I sit on the couch in my living room, I know that the news I am about to receive from my mom is going to be difficult for me to cope with. My sister sits right next to me, and we both somewhat know of what we are about to hear. The feeling of having your heart drop is definitely a painful and devastating feeling. Being the tough little fifth grader I think I am, I believe that crying is embarrassing and not very manly. For a while, I am able to keep all my emotions tucked away until my mom starts crying. That is the moment at which I cannot contain them anymore. My parents got our dog before they adopted me and my sister. Once they adopted us, we moved to Wadsworth to get a larger house to fit our family's needs. Our dog's original name is Drew, and he comes from another family that could not house him anymore because their cat would always scratch him up. Although his real name is Drew, we tend to call him Bubba. I'm not entirely sure how this nickname came into existence, but it is a nickname that I believe suits him very well. He is a very kind and intelligent dog, and is definitely a likable dog. Back many years ago, when I first came as a little boy to the United States, my parents were unsure about how Drew would react to my arrival. Fortunately, being the good dog he is, we quickly became good friends and enjoyed each other's company. I do not have much memory of any of these moments I might have had with Drew when I was really young. The most vivid memories I have of him are ones that occurred after my sister was adopted. Remembering these moments is like a special trip down memory lane for me. I run around the house with my sister, sneaking around corners and making sure we are not seen. All of a sudden, we see Drew turn one of the corners, and we quickly run up the stairs to avoid him. In this game, we must avoid him because he's the dangerous monster and is out to get us. "What are you guys doing?" my dad asks as I run into him. I am quick to respond by saying, "We are running and hiding from the monster." He laughs at my response and gives me a good place to hide. Drew is always a good sport as well. He buys into our silly little game and plays along with us. Something that Drew does is he walks into our bedroom at night, right before my sister and I go to sleep. It is almost as if he's checking to see if we are alright before he goes to bed himself. Even though he is one of the kindest dogs you will ever meet, he can also be quite defensive when it comes to our family's safety. When a guest comes over, he does not bark, but always closely analyzes the person and determines whether he likes them or not. I think this is one of my favorite things about Drew. One day, coming home from an eventful day of school, I see Drew laying in his normal spot next to a chair in the living room. The living room is right next to where our front door is, so Drew is usually the first thing I see when I walk in. On this particular day, though, he looks quite tired and almost drained of energy. As the years pass, I have noticed that he is gradually slowing down and does not move around as much as he used to. I figure it just has to do with him becoming older and more tired. Walking up to him, I ask, "How are you doing, Bubba?" while lightly petting his head. He responds with a little whimper, and I let him outside to get some fresh air. I hope that he gets some exercise by getting out of the house. Today had started out like any other normal day would have, but this day has not been a normal day. On this day, our family has lost an important member, and it has been a very sad day for all of us. My dad took Drew to the vet earlier today, expecting to come home with him today. Apparently, Drew has been very sick for a long time, which my parents have known about, but my sister and I were unaware. When my dad calls my mom, he tells her that Drew will not be coming home because the doctors are going to put him down. My mom wants to go see him before this happens, but is told that she will not make it in time. When my mom tells me and my sister about it, she leaves out most of the details. I feel my heart drop and hold back tears as best as I can. I feel an array of different emotions at this very moment, the most predominant emotions being sadness and anger. I want to not believe that this is happening and try convincing myself that this is all not real. It is so difficult for me to understand why this had to happen. I look at my mom and ask, "Why did Drew have to be put down?" She then explains to me that it was better. It was for the better. After a few years, I now understand why it was better, for Drew because of the suffering he was enduring. Losing a pet that you have grown up with your entire life is a difficult situation for someone my age to understand. Up until this point, I have never known the feeling of losing someone or something with a great significance to me. I have always just assumed my dog would somehow be around forever. The thought of him passing away has never even crossed my mind in any way. This is what makes it exceptionally hard for me. When I look back and think about the entirety of the situation, the biggest regret I have is not having any closure with Drew. The only other person in our family that had official closure with him was my dad because he was the one who took him to the vet. I wish that I could have said something to Drew before he left, even if at the time that would have been extremely difficult to do. If I could go back to that moment, though, I would make sure to say my goodbyes. My family, after this, at least to me, felt kind of empty for a while. Certain things did not feel the same around the house. We did not get another dog after this, even though it was discussed and considered. There were plenty of reasons for us not to. For a while, though, we had 2 goldfish, which filled our small desire for another pet. Despite all the sadness that came with Drew passing away, there were a couple good things about not having a dog. One of these was that we could now take long vacations or trips without having to worry about getting someone to watch the dog. We also did not have to constantly worry about letting the dog out and then cleaning up after him. Lastly, we did not have to worry about the dog hair all around the house and on the carpets because Drew had long black-white hair that would constantly shed. Though it was a sad moment, the benefits from not worrying about taking care of a dog took some responsibilities off of our chest. This was a really big moment in my life because of the fact that I'd never experienced anything like it before. I still have not since. In all my life so far, I have never had to deal with a family member or a close friend passing away. Many of my friends and people I know have had to deal with much greater losses in their lives, and I like to consider myself lucky for not yet experiencing that. Hopefully, I will not go through anything similar to this anytime soon. The entire experience taught me a lot, and when I think back and take time to reflect on it, one big thing that it taught me was that what it feels like to lose someone or something that is precious to you. From that day on, I was able to better understand and sympathize with someone when they would talk about losing a family member or pet. The biggest lesson I had derived from all of this, though, was that life is a precious thing, along with the people and things you have. You should not take any moment with any person or even pet for granted. Even though this all might sound cliche, it is very true. Take every moment with the people you love and cherish it because you will regret it if you don't.